Parson Brown. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to hear everybody living out there mad. If they're playing with the king. Information on and you have to pass it on. And still a lot of people that they call it these days, they pick it up on Zoom meetings. So,
Okay, yeah.
yep, so fine, good. So y'all sit back. Maybe something to do some good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Next, we're going to have our opening by Larry Lofton. He's our Ag Farm Division Director.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And I too would like to welcome all of you and to thank the Mayor, Hudson Brown, for her welcome. Thank you for coming out, and we also thank all of you that are online. This roundtable discussion was meant to be just a discussion so that you can learn more about USDA programs as well as what Arkansas Community Development Corporation has to offer as well. I'd like to say that one of our primary functions is to bridge the gap between our citizens, our communities, and USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. There are various programs, including National Resources Conservation Service, Farm Service Agency, and more development. These programs are administered throughout all the counties in Arkansas, as well as other states. And most of us touch some of their programs in one way or another, whether you're farming, whether you are growing vegetables for marketing, whether you are in housing business, or whether you are just trying to improve your own life, whether you're trying to start a business, whether a town like Cotton Plant is trying to improve some of its facilities, services. USDA provides programs and services to address many of those, or all of them, as well as energy programs and various programs. It's a lot of, matter of fact, when you just look at farmers alone, this book here is pretty mentally addresses the programs and services just for farmers. And that's just one aspect of what Department of Agriculture does. USDA has a very, very significant role in the state of Arkansas because of its various programs. So what that means to me is that a lot of taxpayer money that ends up in Washington slowly works its way back into the state of Arkansas through USDA and about that way. And so what we would like to see is that our citizens, our communities, take advantage of many of these programs as possible. We understand Arkansas Community Development Corporation understands that a lot of these programs are not being utilized because we're not aware of them. So we want to make sure that everyone is aware. They have knowledge on these programs, they have information, and they know where to go and who to contact to get additional information. So on behalf of Arkansas Community Development Corporation, our board, directors, as well as our president, Dr. King, thank you for attending and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lofton. So next we're going to have Dr. Calvin King, CEO, and he will brief you on a little bit more detailed information of agencies, where you could go, a farm service agency, farm numbers and track numbers to become a farmer. You would have a natural resource conservation services and micro-urban farming, conservation program opportunities, and rural development, housing, business, community facilities, so on. So, Dr. King is going to read you.
Morning, everyone. I appreciate those who are here in person as well as those that are online. I heard the mayor, she gave reference to the fact that we published information saying that this meeting is both online by Zoom or virtually, as they say, as well as in person. So that's good. You know, so I like that about communicating with some people who are here in person. I said not only can they get this meeting today online, you know, we also post our meeting on our website for people to go back and look at the meeting even after the time. As well as for other individuals or agencies who may want to go and see what took place in that particular community or that area, kind of questions that may have been asked, and what the interest really is of the citizens, individuals in the area. Now, you know, for a fact, and it's often gave reference to, is that outreach was done for a specific reason. It's to provide a great assurance that individuals that are in need of the resources, of the services that are offered by agencies, resources that's available, that individuals know about those resources, where those resources exist, and how to access those resources. And we are speaking for the most part financial resources, not just from an agricultural perspective, but as you said, we say from a community economic perspective, because all of these areas directly relate back to community economic development. In other words, what the farmers do, what the small business individuals do, and even those who may be retired or whatever, that income and that individual has within the context of household, how that income is generated, or how that retirement income is utilized and spent within the local community, that's what drives an economy overall. You know, it drives the economy overall, period, in the local area. If that was going to be something that was going to affect our retirement income, everybody, you know, it's going to have something to say about it. It's going to affect our retirement, the annuities or whatever the individual may have from investment perspective, 401k in general. So you have something to say. The same thing as relates to if you're talking about agriculture from a farmer's perspective, if you're talking about a household income or the need for certain resources to address issues that may be going on with one individual's resident of their house. Or how can I be able to improve my living conditions, my situation I'm living in right now from a household perspective? But all these resources are accessible by way of USDA and all these different areas. Now, there is also, you know, along with whatever you have, the availability of resources, and you can also have barriers in different ways. Not having the information is one barrier. Say, okay, the resource is there, but I don't really know how the availability of those resources apply to me. How they apply to me or my eligibility. Well, not knowing, then that's a barrier to you getting those resources. That's lack of information. The other information that exists, particularly in a lot of our underserved communities, a barrier is air quality. Air quality. You will find that, you know, all over the state of Arkansas and all over the country where individuals, and when I say air quality, people who have your parents are passed on. Like in my situation, my parents passed on. And of course, you know, they left assets behind. So they left land that we inherited and we never killed. So that's air problem. So I don't care if it's a farm, in my case, if it's a farm, the family home, some other assets, financial assets, you know, that was left as well. Farm equipment and things like that. So that's air property. And a lot of times family members do not leave a will saying, here's what my wishes are as it relates to my assets and what I'm leaving behind. Here's how I want it to be provided with my children, or here's the way I'm leaving it, and I want certain things to stay intact, and I'll pay my family like a trust. And I'm the administrator of that trust. So with for the wheel that rolls into the trust, for the family. Everyone doesn't do that. And then as a result of that undivided family, I mean, if they had not done that, I have an interest in it. My siblings had an interest in it. And then say the siblings who had passed on, their children, maybe one of the siblings' children passed on in their great grandchildren. And one of those individuals may not be connected back, and so I just want my interest out. I want to see if I can get any money, and I want to get the money. I got something else I want to do. I may live in New York or wherever. Well, then you could have a situation. You could have a situation on your hand. And when I say have a situation on your hand, I mean that it used to be under the old law. If that one individual decided that they wanted to sell their interest, and they petitioned the courts to sell their interest under the old law in Arkansas, that means that everything was sold at a public auction. Everything would be sold. That's the way it was. So go to court, you want my interest out, and the other area they can do what they want to do. Well, the old law in Arkansas where everything was sold, and in most cases during that time period, you would receive a lot less than what the market value would be. Say the market value, if it was a farm and it was on a market value, maybe $3,000 an acre, you may be lucky to get $1,500 an acre for, or $1,000 an acre for. Well, that was under the old law. Well, under the new law, it's different from that. I'm going to come back and talk more in detail about that and interview all of you. If you don't get our newsletter, the Advancer, there was an article in the last where we talked about air properties, and there's another one that's coming out that's a summary basis of the law itself. The law, how it operates in the state of Arkansas, and again, I'll talk about that more in detail. Again, so the importance of outreach itself is to try to make sure that the individuals have access to, know how to have access to the resources that's available to them, and how those resources can be beneficial for you as an individual or for your local community. It could be for the city of Confident, it could be for other small businesses in Confident. It's for could be for the benefit of farmers in the Confident area. It could be for the benefit of you not knowing that you may not be a farmer, or you look at farming as being big agriculture, being 1,000 acres, 500 acres, 200 acres of land, and things of that nature. Well, that's not true anymore. That is not true anymore. If you're raising a garden, you can be a farmer. If you have a lot, one lot, you can be a farmer. Just one, maybe a lot around here, maybe a lot that the city has control of, and you went to the city and said, look, I want to take care of that lot, and I want to get a farm number for it, because I'm going to become a micro farmer. Well, if you become a micro farmer, small farmer, and you can promote that even as a small business enterprise, micro farming in the Confident area. But if you become a micro-urban farmer, then that means you have access to resources just as a 500 acre, 1,000 acre farming operation has, particularly with some of the USDA agencies. Same thing, well, with really all of the USDA agencies, if it's Farm Service Agency, if it's Natural Resource Conservation Services, same thing would apply back with rural development across the board, even in other areas from a housing perspective. And again, we'll talk more about that. Let me say this, and then we're going to bring Farm Service Agency forward. On the rural development side, I'm going to come back and speak very specifically as it has to do with rural development, their resources, And particularly, I know some who have questions as relates to housing. Now, what I hope to get from you are any questions you have, because the questions you have and where we may have certain challenges at, not on what USDA has to do, but what Arkansas Land and Community Development may need to do better at, is making sure that as a technical assistance provider, that we do more. Maybe I need to address it in a different way to make sure that individuals are getting the technical support assistance that you need to be able to access those resources that you are seeking from the USDA agency. And again, our technical assistance, it could be accessing finance from FSA, it could be from USDA Rural Development, it could be financial assistance as well as from Natural Resource Conservation Services, that we work with individuals within the context of their program areas, the application process, or the sign-up process to access the financial assistance that you may be seeking from either one of those agencies. That's what we do. So we don't just talk about it and introduce you to the agencies. Then we will work directly back with you as it has to do with getting those resources from the agency. That's the technical assistance side where we are over beyond the outreach on communication and education as relates to program service delivery itself. So I'm gonna stop, at this point and turn it back over to Ms. Wiggins, and I'll come back and we'll go through the different program areas on any of the agency representatives that's not here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. King. And now we do have a representative of the Farm Service Agency, Kevin, here, and he will brief you a little bit more on the air property farm program side, how to get a farm number and track number and becoming a farmer. Also, he will speak on the conservation reserve program, urban farming, and non-insurance assistance program called NAP. Okay, I'm speaking there.
I'm Kevin Sheffer. I'm the CED of the Lee County, Farm Service Agency at Mariana. Going on what Mr. King was talking about, first thing you want to be a farmer, you have to have a farm number. To have a farm number, you're going to have to bring a deed to the county office. A deed, if you want a lot in town, give the farm number, that's, you got to have a deed to it. If you already own ground, just bring a deed to the office. But what the farm number does, that gets you started as a farm. Without a farm number, you cannot do any programs, please. FSA, NRCS, USDA, basically, you're not going to do anything to the farm side without a farm number. With the farm number, that's going to open you up options to get program money. We can do loans to get you started if you want to be a farmer. We have micro loans if you want to be just a micro farmer, farming vegetables. We have loans to help you do whatever you want to do. A micro loan, I think, is up to $50,000. That's most of it. But it's going to help you get your farm established. It can help you buy equipment, little tractors, big tillers, anything you need to do that with it. If you get into the vegetable farming, we also have what is called the NAP program. It's a non-insurable program for insurance on vegetable crops. But it's normal insurance that you go get farmers get will not cover fruits and vegetables. So the government put it upon FSA that we sell insurance policy just for the fruits and vegetables, which is a basic 50-55 policy. Let's see. I don't know that I can speak to the property that much. That's not something I deal with. But I can tell you the vegetable farming is really good to me. Like I sell a lot of NAP insurance in my county for fruits and vegetables. It is a very good program. It kind of absorbs some of the costs. It's for, you get a freeze on your crop, you lose your crop. You get excessive amount of rain, it's gonna kill your crop. A lot of experts cannot take cold, but can't take too much more. You lose part of that crop, we're gonna pay you back some of the costs you have to improve that crop. So you're not gonna out all the money you put into it from you. See. Is there any questions so far while I'm speaking?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what you said is the vegetables, this is only money that you can get to grow vegetables, or is there any other plans out there that you can get money for? Like they're starting solar panels. And
We do
they're
not deal
starting,
with that. No, ma'am, we do not deal with that. We are strictly agriculture. That'll go through different programs besides the farm service centers.
what about the windmills?
No, ma'am. When you're getting into energy that way, there's no program that my agency goes,
Okay.
that's my part of investigate. I can't speak to other.
Okay, so I have another question. What about if you already have a farm? You were talking about you have to get this number or whatever. What if you already have a farm, then what?
If you've already got a farm and a farm number already established, if whatever it is you're wanting to do, you need to go speak to your county rep. It'll be in Augusta, right here, Augusta, where the county office is. But if you want to get into any kind of farm, the first thing you need to do is go talk to the FSA office.
So if I already have a farm and I want to do vegetables, then I need to go to Augusta.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
You won't have to have a farm number established because you've already got it.
yes.
You just go say, hey, this is my farm. I'm the owner of this farm. I'm looking to get in this program. What you have to offer me right now?
Okay, thank you.
And that's where you're going to get into, hey, we got this loan to get you started. And if you're a beginning farmer for 7 years, they consider you a beginning farmer, which puts you a little ahead of the normal people who've been established farmer. They're there to help you get
Well, I've been a farmer for more than 7 years.
started. Well, you won't consider it a beginning farmer.
I'm not interest you have to pay on the loan.
The interest, it varies. Normally it's usually around 7%, maybe a little lower. With the interest rate the way it is right now, our interest rate is a little higher than the interest rate.
So we have to pay these loans back, in other words.
Yes, ma'am, it's loan. We're not giving grants to get started. It is a loan.
Okay.
But I think we go anywhere from 7 to 10 years to pay back our micro loans. Yes, sir.
Can you speak to the importance of having a farm plan?
A farm plan,
Yes.
that's what we're gonna help you establish is a farm, because you've got to have a plan to go out there and farm. You can't just say, I'm a farmer, we're gonna give you money. That you actually gotta be able to sit down with pencil and paper and say, this is my budget, this is what I'm planning on doing. Because you have to have a market to sell your property. We're gonna know that you have an established market to sell it. But you have to have a plan that I'm gonna spend this much money this year on this crop. This is the crops I'm gonna raise. And we'll sit down and help you go through that. What's feasible to plant there? I mean, you don't want to try and grow a crop that's not feasible, honestly. There's crops in this area that you can grow in this part of the state that your northwest Arkansas can grow. So we're gonna look at that and kind of help you out with that too. Yes, ma'am.
So what is the largest amount of this loan that you can purchase?
Ma'am,
What is the largest amount?
with a micro loan, $50,000 is a large micro loan. Yeah.
Okay.
If you do anything more than a micro loan, you're getting the operating loans that goes through the farm loan program. I think they can loan up to $350,000. That's on established farming. I do not do that. We do micro loans through my side of the agency. The operating loans go through the actual farm loan program. Any more questions?
It's not even going on. Great, thank you, Kevin. Next, we're gonna have, Doc, we're gonna speak on farm loan program. Also rural development, they could not be here today. So Dr. King will come and, give you more detailed information on what, of their programs.
Okay, there was a question. She asked about the specifics on the interest rate.
Yes.
The interest rate for your farm operating loan, this is the direct farm operating loan is a 4.8, it's a 4.875%. That's with, So this is operating ownership and emergency loan. This is as of September. And your farm ownership loans, on your ownership loans is 5.8%.
5.8.
Yes, 5.8. Now that was as of September. On the emergency loans, and I think the emergency loans are maybe coming out, with those now, they may be available now. Basically, point in time, and this with Farm Service Agency on the direct loan as well. It was an emergency loan because of the result of a disaster and things of that nature. Then Farm Service Agency, based on security, will make available the emergency loan that allows you to pay off an existing debt, even if you have a direct loan. If you have a direct loan, then it will allow you to go through what we call the restructuring process of a farming operation. And it could be even back with where you may have a guarantee loan with the bank or have a loan with the bank, and you qualify for the emergency loan. Then the emergency loan works with the individual operator to pay them current on the existing loan debts that the inability to say to pay off the full amount of the debt from the previous operating period, just say 2025 operating season, harvest season, and this is where the emergency loans come into play. So you have the direct loan with Farm Service Agency, and you have the emergency loan with Farm Service Agency. The direct loan is both for operating and for ownership. He gave reference to the direct loan on the micro loan, that $50,000 being the maximum on that. And again, that's for an operating loan itself. Now, if you've been farming, you say you've been farming more than 3 years or so, and qualifying still at the beginning farming even, then you would qualify for what I call a capital loan, a loan for ownership. You want to purchase land. And for the micro loan, that's up to $50,000 as well on the micro loan side. So you have the direct operating loan as well as the farm ownership loan on the micro side. But you must have been farming at least 3 years for the ownership loan. Then you have the direct loan, the regular loan program, the direct loan with Farm Service Agency. And the regular direct loan with Farm Service Agency is $400,000. That's $400,000, and that's the interest rate as of September that I just recently gave reference to. Up to $400,000 for the regular operating loan. If you've been farming 3 years or more, then you will qualify for the land purchase loan. The land purchase loan with Farm Service Agency is up to $600,000. So in essence, if you're more than 3 years and you have the cash flow and the security for the loan itself, and you would deal with both land purchase as well as an operating loan, then the availability could be up to a total of $1 million. $600,000 on the ownership side, $400,000 on the operating side. And that gives you some idea of this, and these are what you call small loans. Now on the guarantee loan, and basically individuals who may have a good relationship with the bank and the accessibility ability to get a loan directly from the bank, that you can qualify for a guarantee loan from the bank. Now, I may be wrong on this dollar figure with the guarantee loan, but the guarantee loan now is, from a commercial lender, is $2.5 million. $2.5 million on the guarantee loan side. I mean that the lender would make the loan directly to you. The lender becomes the customer, to farm service agency then. So the local bank is a customer, FSA customer, and you're the customer to the bank. And farm service agency then can guarantee up to 90% on that loan. That gives them added security itself for the loan that they're giving as a direct loan. That's the bank itself. Now, it does not mean that that's necessarily would serve as adequate security on the part of the bank itself. What it would take to actually allow you to access that loan from the bank, it depends upon the bank's policy and how they may be operating as it relates to security. Some banks require 150% security. So that 90%, you still got another 60% worth of security to go. That's on the example. In other cases, they may require 160% security. And if that be the case, they got a 90% security guarantee on the part of farm service agencies. But then you got another 70% worth of security that you have to show in order for you to leverage that particular loan from the bank. So those categories of loan that is offered by farm service agencies, both the direct loan for farming as well as the guaranteed loan program. And again, now the interest rate with the bank is it's not in line with what I had given you from farm service. Even if FSA is guaranteeing the loan and the interest rate is 4.8% with FSA on the direct loan, that does not mean that it won't be. The interest rate is going to be what the bank is offering as interest rate. It may be 7.5%, it may be 8%, whatever that going interest rates are for that particular lending program. So totally different from FSA's interest rate as far as how that loan is extended and how they do their underwriting in developing those loan packages. I'm going to move. Are there any other questions regarding FSA loan book? Yes, ma'am.
Is it a size, how much land and stuff you have to get a loan? What's the size of the property that you want to farm?
The size of the property?
Like I want to make a vegetable garden, but I don't want over an acre.
I like that question there. That's a very good, that's all you gotta have. When you're giving reference to, I'm gonna back up a little bit to make sure you're getting enough information. As relates to if only acre. If you only have 1 acre, you only have 1 acre of land. And if you gave reference to the starting point, you have a farm number, and you have a farm number for that 1 acre land, then you're eligible for Farm Service Agency's loan program. So you got that 1 acre, that micro loan he gave reference to, $50,000, then they'll work with you or we'll work with you in developing the application based on the crops that you're going to produce and to make a determination of the cash flow on that particular operation, then you qualify for that $50,000 loan. We've done a lot of them. We work with a lot of customers on doing the micro loan. Micro loan is becoming some of the more popular loans now. The people are saying, well, not just in rural areas, because they're doing it in Little Rock, they're doing it in Pine Bluff area where they're actually living in the cities, and they have small farming operations. I have a nephew in Little Rock. He's a farmer. Just on the outskirts of the suburb areas of Little Rock area, and he has about 12 acres. And he decided instead of raising vegetables, he was going to be a rancher. So he raised this special breed of cows, and they are sold because of the breed and what he's raised and the way he's marketed them online as breeding stock. They're going to be sold right after birth. And when I say right after birth, 8 weeks after birth, he already have buyers for his stock before they're actually born because of the breed that he's running with this particular herd. And individuals that want to integrate that herd, with another breed of crossbreeding with different, breeds they have. I'm not gonna get into all that, but anyway, he's a farmer, 12 acres. You do the same thing with 1 acre, 2 acres, even a half acre.
Even if you previously rented it out for someone else to farm it, you haven't done it for the job, can you still get the loan?
If you previously rented it out, if you previously rented it out and you decided you wanted to farm it, now that's between you and the present operator, then you can tell them, as long as you give them proper notice. You give them proper notice, based on whatever the terms of your lease agreement you may have with them. You give them notice accordingly that you're not going to be leasing your farm to them the next year, then you can apply, and you're showing that you're going to be operating this farm. You can apply for the loan and farm it yourself. Yes, you can. Even if it's the farm. Now, they gave reference to other programs that they have now. In some cases, individuals who are landowners, if it's marginal land that may not be highly productive land, he gave reference to CRP program, the Conservation Reserve Program. Now, you also have the Conservation Reserve Program. People may want to look at that as well. What you're leasing a farm for to an operator versus what the Conservation Reserve Program may be paying per acre in your area. Now, again, they'll make a determination on eligibility of the land or the farm itself for the Conservation Reserve Program. And I don't know what they're paying in what the county now for it.
I don't know, totally, it's gonna be out of country.
Okay, so
By 18.
exactly. And I was just reading, there's some changes coming out on the program. But he just gave reference to the fact that on a per acre basis now, the Conservation Reserve Program in Woodruff County may be paying nearly $100 an acre. Okay. And of course, again, margin land, there's a process, the formula they use to make a determination on what the payment would be on a per acre basis. But it's a program. In some cases, people look at it and say, well, that's more than what we're getting rent-wise now offered. So we're going to put it into the Conservation Reserve Program versus renting it out. And it's for 3 years, 10 years.
It's 10-year program.
10-year program. And again, there are requirements that goes with that. But again, the FSA office will go through all the details with you as relates to that, based on what that 10-year contract would require on with the Conservation Reserve Program or the Conservation Reserve contract itself. But that's another program on the program side. Yeah, FSA has two different sides itself. It has the program side. That's under the program side. It gave reference to the Conservation Reserve Program. It has also the NAP program. NAP is on the program side with Farm Service Agency. And then if they come out with market support payments, that will be on the program side. So when certain payments come out, because I know the question was that, do you have to pay it back? Okay. If you're on the loan side, you got to pay it back. If you're on the program side with FSA, but you may hear somebody say, well, yeah, I get this money from FSA, and you say, well, okay, well, how much do you have to pay back? It's not, I didn't have to pay that back. That's on the program side. So understand, you're speaking from the program side then. They offer a different program. Conservation Reserve Program has a certain sign-up period. The officer lets you know the sign-up period, whether the sign-up is open now or when it's going to open back up. And of course, the NAP program, the same thing, which is the insurance program on vegetable products. It's on orchids, pecan orchids, and things of that nature. You're not insurable type crops. And the same thing will apply. There's a sign-up period when you need to go in to sign up for the NAP program at a time period that you would need to go in and know that the sign-up period is open with the Conservation Reserve Program. It's on the Conservation Reserve CRP side. They CRP, the Conservation Reserve Program. But, they would give you that particular information as it relates to the sign-up period. I want more information on it than our office that work with you on that also. I'm not the one that really knows all the details about that. It's these two guys right here, Larry and Michael. They're the tech people. But we can work through the process with you as well. We can even create a Zoom meeting, have a Zoom meeting where we are in conversation directly back with the office as well. I know people often say, now just listen to the state and say, you got to go all the way to Augusta. No, not necessarily. You have to go all the way to Augusta if you just want to have the conversation. Then we can work with you in that process too. If you contact our office, we understand exactly what we want to meet with the individuals on, then we can create a Zoom meeting, contact the local office, send them a Zoom link and say, we want to meet with you on this date. This is the customer client we're going to be meeting with, and here's what we're going to talk about as it relates to the services that's offered by your office. Any questions, not just the questions we may have answered, but maybe you want confirmation on the questions you've asked that we've given an answer to, just to make sure you have specifics, as well as the fact for them to know too, you are a specific customer for that office that we're looking for them to work with. So it works, in the best interest of the particular client, as well as in the interest of the USDA agency themselves, that they then have that direct relationship back with the customers that they're servicing. So, we can do that with a customer-based customer relationship and not having to make that trip every time if you're talking about the distance to go to just wherever the particular office might be. Got any other questions? I think that really covers basically everything on the Farm Service Agency. Yes. The other program they have, loan, one of the loans, that's right, forgot about that one. They have a youth loan program as well. The youth loan with Farm Service Agency now is up to $10,000. So a young person, and say they may still be in high school or whatever, or they have an interest in possibly becoming a farmer after they graduate, having a better understanding of farming, or just having their own business enterprise going while they're in school and understanding, how to make money as a small farmer or as a micro farmer. Starting at age 10. I said high school. Okay, at age 10. Now, when I was growing up on the farm, trust me, you were going to automatically know about farming because it was a given. They say start. That's a good age to start at age 10. I think I was 8 when I actually started. And I mean actually driving a tractor at 8 years old. I'm not talking about the cotton fields and chopping cotton and picking cotton and things of that nature. But it was a whole, work process. What they call micro farms now, micro urban farms now. Our garden was that big. It didn't include the truck patch. The garden was about a half acre or so. And that was on just a little ways from the house. And we get to the truck patch. Truck patch about 3 or 4 acres. And we grew some of everything you can think of in the truck patch, including popcorn. Yeah, we grew popcorn to all of it, and you had certain types of all the different vegetables that we consume. Yes.
So when you talk about the loans here, what if a person has a question about their credit score? How does that conflict play when you apply for this?
Well, they don't necessarily make their loans based on credit. They make their loan based on repayment ability. Now, if you have a judgment or something, a judgment on your credit, you need to try to get that removed. In most cases, what my experience has been with them to make them we can do it. So it's not like traditional lenders, from a lending perspective, on credit score. But cash flow and security, that does come into play, with an exception of the microloan. Now, the microloan is not going to be the same as the traditional direct loan itself, where you are going to have to show adequate security. At one time, with Farm Service Agency, in making those loans, they could go or would go up to 150% in security if it was available to you, if you were getting, say, a $400,000 loan. I think that has been lowered now to 125%. If it's available up to 125% of security. But the real necessity in the process of accessing the financing is the farm business plan itself, ability to repay, and that's the cash flow of that business plan. And of course, a part of that security is the crop enterprise that you're going to be producing and you're going to be marketing or selling to deal with the repayment of the loan itself. So it'd be a traditional crop, vegetable crops, whichever. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Like I say, Farm Service Agents.
Yeah, what was that you said about the NAPA and the FHA? Did you say that was a law that you don't pay back or what?
No, okay, now that's on the program side. NAP is insurance. I call it mitigating or reducing your risk factor based on the fact that you're investing in your crop. You're going to be producing a crop, you put money into it, and then you have a debt obligation as well if you've gotten a loan. So it reduces your risk or mitigates the risk that you're involved in. And that's any business. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. The willingness to make an investment with an intent of making a profit or making money out of it. So in that particular case, on the NAP side, it's an insurance. And that insurance normally with NAP in our area, particularly for social disadvantage, does not cost anything. But it is a matter of, it's free. It's free. So it's a free program. You don't have to pay for it. But again, if there is a disaster and like you've got excessive droughts, which affects crop, the loss of reduced yields on a particular farming operation, excessive heat can also have adverse effects as well. It could be excessive rainfall, that causes a delay in planting and in some cases prevented planting. Okay, as a result of excessive rainfall, and you miss that gap or that time period or schedule when that particular crop enterprise should have been planted. So that's going to fall into the preventive planning category. And of course, they deal with the declaration of disaster, and then of course the eligibility for the program itself, what you signed up for, from the NAP side. Again, that's on the program side. There's not traditional type of insurance. If you do with row crops, of course, you take that back out. On the private sector side, I don't think FSA offers any type of insurance other than NAP now, right? Okay, that's the only one that they offer. Otherwise, you give it private sector with the regular type of crop insurance. Is that?
Okay.
And so it's free, and if you qualify for it, you get the money. That's not money you pay back, but it may make money available to you that allows you to, cover any either personal investment you've made or investments you've made from a particular lender, from the borrower and so.
Okay, say I planted my farm, but I didn't apply for NAP.
Well, you're in trouble. Again, the reason we do this is that outreach, so people do understand the availability, one, of the program, okay? The benefits of the program, why these programs are offered, okay? So people say, well, I didn't know. And so I didn't. As an example, if you had not signed up for NAP or you didn't have crop insurance, and then if they were going to make disaster payments, y'all make disaster payments in the program side too, right? And they were going to make disaster payments, and that'll be on the program side, money you didn't have to pay back. There's a declared disaster, and these are the type payments that we're going to be making to our farmers this year. Now, it used to be, and I think it still is, if you didn't have crop insurance, you didn't qualify for disaster payment.
With the way they've structured in the last few years, we would still pay you on your crop losses, but you have to sign a form that says that you agree to pay for the insurance for the next 2 years.
Okay.
For that payment this year.
Okay.
Which in that case, if it's not, all you're saying is, yeah, I'll come in and sign up, because you don't have to pay.
You don't have to pay anything.
So now it's most 90% of best crops you can go in the state of Arkansas, February 15th, I think I'm gonna be at 10 on the side.
Sign up, February.
It'll come, put up and go.
Okay, so part of that I had wrong. All right. So you say if you just didn't know the point of that, you would qualify one time for not knowing and then not signing up for the program. But then you have to have a commitment. You're going to sign up or have insurance the next 2 years. Is that's put clarity on the
Yeah.
You got it? Okay. So you only got one time to make a mistake.
Okay.
Okay. Just one time.
And that has to be declared a disaster for the area, not just gonna be particularly your farm.
Right,
If
right.
you had a farm loss, we're not gonna pay you on that because it didn't happen.
No.
There's a declaration of there was a disaster in all the farms.
Okay, that's what we're saying. If there's a drought or if there's, flood or whatever.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it affects everybody, they declare Woodruff County disaster area.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're making payments for that. You would get a payment, but then you would have to say, all right, I agree to pay for insurance next year.
Right. So
We have farmers who look at that and even issue with the disaster payments we've been making. They look at what the payment the government's gonna give them. And then they look at what the cost of the insurance next to them. They say it's not feasible, we take that money this time, to have to pay the insurance for the next 2 years. You still gotta look at it, but
well, that's true.
So the insurance is high. Man, the insurance, that costs a lot.
insurance, our NAP insurance is free.
I'm
The NAP
talking about
insurance
if
is
you don't
free.
have it.
Well, for traditional crops,
Yes, their insurance is expensive.
yeah. If you're talking about soybeans, rice, corn, it can be expensive.
Oh, but as long as we're keeping it in vegetables, then it's not.
Yeah. If it's in vegetables, it's free.
Okay.
The NAP
That is what
insurance
comes
is
through
free.
the FSA office.
Okay.
Fruits and vegetables office. Any other crop for that, you're gonna get in, I mean, if you got a condo, we can insure you for the condo. It covers a lot of things.
What's the range of the price for soybeans and cotton?
What's the what?
Soybean and cotton for the NAP insurance, for the crop insurance.
Okay, that, let me make sure I'm very, very clear. The NAP insurance is not for soybeans
Right.
and corn and things of that nature, for just regular traditional crop. That you can't get that through NAP with FSA. You have to get that from a private companies that actually sell crop insurance. And there are a lot of them out there. Does that answer the question?
That happened.
Okay, all right. Without issues. Some of the private farm bureaus still,
Farm Bureau, I think we were thinking bring it up last time. That I can't speak around the area. I know the one that breaks. That's where I'm thinking.
yeah. Farm Bureau, the Farm Bureau, yeah, I'm with Farm Bureau, also Farm Bureau, is one. I think, we have rice growers, Howard Miller, I think, Howard Miller in Forest City. Howard Miller in Forest City. I really hate to be calling out specific names on companies because I missed one, then I get a phone call and say, why you put these companies out here on Zoom and you didn't name my company on Zoom.
They do like, we don't want to endorse.
Yeah, right.
I'm not trying to endorse any of these companies. I'm not recommending anybody. That's not.
Same
You
here.
might not like what the service you get from them. You might be saying, it keeps the liability off all of us. Right.
Yeah, same here. We're not recommending anybody. But the question was asked, and since you asked the question, what are some of the companies? But you can also Google private insurance companies.
Yeah, just told it.
Oh, you do that. So, here, she already knows.
No, I'm
She
just,
said she been doing the farming for more than 3 years.
well, I have, because just like you, I was brought up on a farm.
Okay, I understand.
And I'll make another point too. These micro loans and stuff like that, for female, it's for cattle too. It's not just for vegetables. You can get into the cattle business. They do the same.
Oh yeah, that's a fact. I was giving reference to my family member, and he's
You can have livestock.
yeah.
And something happens to the livestock, like somebody comes up and shoot all of the cows and stuff. You pay.
We have programs for if you lose a certain percentage of your livestock, if we will pay on that. I think once you get like a 5% off, say you got the cattle out there, pigs, whatever. If there's a disaster comes in, like a section east, we have, I think it's 4 to 3 days, 95-degree weather is better. If you start losing cows, we're gonna start paying you. And it's gonna happen, you can do it with pigs, the cattle, and I don't have it in this area, but we have, it's the poultry too. We just don't have it. I can't speak to it because I've never dealt with it. I dealt with the pigs and the cattle on the store.
What kind of cows can you get now in Arkansas?
That I tell you the different breeds of cattle.
What
Yeah, cows.
The Angus, I guess I've had more experience with Black Angus and Hereford, cross between Hereford and Angus. I'm not recommending that necessarily. So it just depends upon the operator. What their preference might be. Some like to cross them in different ways, but my experience has been more with Black Angus and Hereford. Well, the cross with those two are either just straight line Angus.
They can't get any Jersey cows.
Well, Jersey is more of a milk cow.
We do the program we offer. We do specify between dairy cows and beef cows. There's a different program for each. They do not run.
I think she was testing me to see if I knew the difference between a Jersey cow and a since I said Hereford and Angus, you said, well, what about a Jersey? Because she said she grew up on a farm. So I knew that question was a trick question there, the Jersey cow. No, any Jersey cow that we dealt with on the farm or across with the Jersey, we dealt with, but we used to milk cows. See, I grew up on the farm. I get that. I'm saying, okay, then, are there any other questions? Now I'm going to go to Natural Resource Conservation Service. Okay, on NRCS, this is USDA as well. Now, NRCS, a little bit different to say you got to pay it back. The Natural Resource Conservation Service offer their resources, and with their program, you don't have to pay it back, but they provide the financial assistance in different program areas. One of their, I call it sort of a flagship program, is the EQIP program, and that's the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. They normally call it EQIP. At EQIP, the dollar amount can vary, the contract is self-made, but what a lot of farmers do, they sign up for the EQIP program, and they're raising vegetables and small acreage, and they put up what they call hoop houses, look like a greenhouse. And they vary in size. Don't y'all have some here in Cotton Plant, individuals have the hoop houses out. And what that does, it allows you to extend your growing period if you're raising vegetables on small acres with the hoop house. The other thing with the equip program, some with smaller farms, maybe 40 acres, 60 acres, 80 acres, whichever, on smaller farms, the equip program, you can have irrigation put on and land leveling as a part of the equip program as well. Now, again, the conservationists, they can come out and do an assessment, provide technical assistance to you on assessing your farming operation, even prior to determining whether you're going to meet all of the eligibility criteria. Because one of the things you do have to have is must have a farm number. You gave reference to the farm number. If you don't have a farm number, you have some land and you're going to have a small acre, so you're going to do vegetables on. You may have purchased it or you have a long-term lease on it. If it doesn't have a farm number, you got to go to Farm Service Agency to make sure that that piece of property qualifies for a farm number. So if you have your farm number, all that's in place, then you sign up for the equip program. And again, that particular program, there's a lot of diversity within the context of the contract itself and type of practices that may be a part of that particular contract that you go into with natural resource conservation services. Hoop house is only one example. Irrigation, putting in micro irrigation, things of that nature as a part of that particular operation, all that can be included in that particular agreement. Now, they provide the financial assistance to individuals that, I'm going to say, and I say financial assistance, we used to give a specific dollar figure on that, a percentage basis and up to 90%. I'm not going to give that because they don't go with it based on that now. Again, they will develop the agreement itself, all the practices that will be involved with the equip program. You would work through that process with them, make a determination what the total cost is going to be on that particular contract, and they would deal with how much they're going to pay for each one of those practices that you employ as a part of that agreement. So financial assistance, the system they provide to individuals, you do not have to pay that money back. And the benefits behind that, I tell individuals, you have to look at how do you look at building more value in a particular farming operation on your land. That's one way of doing that. Utilizing the program that's available to you, understanding the benefits of those programs, and what added value that it's going to bring to that farming operation. If you have irrigation on land, irrigated land leased for a lot more than non-irrigated land. And I'm not going to get in particular how much it is per acre because it varies, from one point to another, depending upon soil type and things of that nature. But it also reduces the risk factor in raising your crop. When you do have a dry season or dry spell that come in, the availability of irrigation on farm is like day and night. So irrigation system and irrigation can come up under, does come up under the equip program. And the same thing would apply if you're dealing with a micro-urban farm as well. So the hoop house being one, installing and putting in a watering system can be a part of the example of some of the practices you put in. And Mr. Lofton gave reference to, he held up a book. And I would encourage you to get one of those books over there. But that particular book itself, that's a Natural Resource Conservation Service information book, and it describes and talks about all the different practices that they offer and what they can assist you with through their program services. And it's a lot of them. So I'm, again, won't even attempt to go through what all is in the book. Pollination is another one to be dealing with bees and things of that nature. Even that's a part of a practice that can be employed in working with natural resource conservation services. Now, the other program they have is what they call CSP. Now, CSP is conservation stewardship practice. We normally, again, you work with the NRCS or with the conservation itself, with the conservation stewardship practices, they pay you so much per contract. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the maximum contract now over a 5-year period is $200,000 a contract. And I'm gonna come back to the Eastwood program also, so I didn't give the dollar figure on that. But that's up to $200,000. And that means that really on the stewardship practices, conservation stewardship practice, basically they're saying that you're saying you're going to do certain practices of which they are going to be making a payment to that particular farm operator for employing those practices as a part of their farming operation, up to $200,000 per contract. I'm going to go back to the EQIP also, the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, the EQIP program. On that EQIP program, if it's an acre, half an acre, even the size of this room, the minimum payment is $4,000 a year. The minimum payment. So that means you got a farm number and you have a lot, or you have a lot that's equal to the size of this room, or say half a lot itself, and you sign up and you're part of the CSP program, and even with the EQIP program, then the minimum payment is $4,000 a year. Minimum payment. Now on the CSP again, the maximum payment is $200,000. Minimum payment is $4,000 based on how you're operating that particular micro urban farm, that small scale farming operation. That's what's available, and there are many benefits, in the whole process when you employ the practices as well. That enhances the overall operation of your micro urban farm. But I wanted to come back to make that point, and that's financial assistance. That's money. You don't have to pay that money back. That's financial assistance from Natural Resource Conservation Service.
So you could buy equipment to do that with farm.
Yes. Yeah. If you're going to deal with the holistic, and we'll work with individuals even in developing and taking a look at, say, what do you want your micro urban farm to look at? One of the first things I always ask Michael and some of the farm advisors, have y'all talked about, are you including in that the conservation program? Okay. And so you're a beginning farmer, you're going in and you're going to get a particular micro urban loan. Then what Michael does, or what we'll work with you on, is the type of equipment you need to operate that loan. And let me just, I hate to flip flop like this, but this just you ask the question because you got to now have you make a little bit more connected the dots. I would say comprehensive. On that side, if you get the micro loan and the max $50,000 and you're dealing with a small scale micro operation, on the operating loan side, just your regular operation, that's dealing with your seed, fuel, chemicals, labor costs that may be involved in that particular operation, even a small scale operation that you actually use the money for. Then you have certain dollars you're going to spend on equipment. At the end of the year, the farm season, based on your promissory note, you would have to pay back 100% of the regular operating money. Say I had $50,000, you had $10,000 for operating expenses. Well, you got to pay that $10,000 back, but you had another $15,000 that was for equipment, $20,000 for equipment. Well, the equipment part, you have 7 years now on the equipment itself. You have up to 7 years to pay off the equipment debt. So you don't have to pay all that back at once. You have 7 years on the equipment, say on the $20,000 side, and then 1 year on the regular operating side expenses. Pay that back at the end of the year of that particular farming season. So that's sort of the way that the loan program side works. I'm going to mention one other. We had some. And this is individuals, sometimes they have maybe air property or they own land and they start to make decisions later say, now should we keep the land leased out or your own land, or we going to continue to farm off land? Should I possibly look at other program opportunities with natural resource conservation services? Now they also have a conservation easement program. One that the wetland reserve being one of those particular programs, but the conservation easement, you can put your land, put your farm into a conservation easement program. You still own the land. You still own the land. You can put it into the program and into a permanent easement program. Now, the permanent easement program, and I don't know if any of these figures have changed or not, but can pay over $3,000 an acre. And you still own the land. So you put it in a conservation easement, still on the land permanent, on the permanent program is $3,000 plus an acre is what it's paying now. Maximum. Now it has gone up to what it is a year before, last couple of years ago, when it's $2,000 something. It may possibly go up some more. I'm not sure about that. But NRCS Office of Natural Resource Conservation Service can provide you all the details as relates to the program, how it works, and responsibility of the individual as landowner. But there are options. I've seen too many situations where individuals own farms, own land, and not knowing or having the information, sold land for $2,000 an acre to individuals and thought they were getting a good deal. And individuals who bought the land a few years down, farmed it for a while, put it into the conservation easement program, bowed her head back there, look like you know a case that happened to you. Okay, so she's a witness. She knows the program happened to you. They sold the land for less than what they could have gotten through a conservation easement program and still own the land. Now, when you put it into a conservation easement program and still own it, and says, well, what if I want to sell it later? You can still sell it later. That means only that any individual that purchased that land, they know that they're under an easement, a conservation easement contract. That's what they would have to know. And some people, some organizations actually buy land that's in the conservation easement. And you may have your land in a conservation easement program and a part of your contract that you're going to plant trees and everything on it. Well, and then later on, or even during that time period, you can still lease it out for hunting purposes. So people buy land for different reasons. Some of them buy them for recreation purposes, which is really big in the state of Arkansas, now and for hunters. So they buy it for different reasons. But the fact you would still own the land, and then you can get payment out of the land and still own it. Still own it. But I want you to pass that on, even if it's not something you want to do. But knowledge is power, even in your local community. So if you know someone, if people saying, well, I'm thinking about my family, they want to sell this farm, we got that 120 acres down there and they just want us to sell it. We decide to go ahead and sell it. You just say, wait a minute, before you do that, before you sell it, why don't you look at the conservation easement program and putting it into the program and still on the land? So passing information on, while you may be empowered by knowing, empower others as well. Because in a lot of cases, people who do not live in the area own farms and own farmland. I was talking to one gentleman, not gonna call his name, y'all probably know. I think he's got almost 200 acres over here in this area. And he's gotten up in age now. And he was talking about, I think he said he was the only child, whichever it is. It's a 100-some acre farm. He was talking about selling. The family just gonna go and sell it and leasing it out and having to deal with collection of rent every year and one thing after another. So, and I know the farmers having a challenging time now. So think about selling. I said, well, before you sell it, you may want to look at putting it into the conservation program. And he looked into it. And he said, well, you know, it makes more sense. But I really want to really want to hold on to that family heritage. So he'll still own the land, and he's going to try to work through that process now to put it into the conservation easement. And one called the Wetland Reserve Program as well. That's pretty much so it on the Natural Resource Conservation Services. We talked about Farm Service Agency. I'm going to move to rural development now. And Mr. Lawson, in summary and opening, talked about all the program services that USDA offer, everything from community economic development and that encompassing both housing development, business, financing, housing financing. One asked about energy loans, panel. The rural development would be the agency to seek that type of financing from. If you're talking about from a business enterprise perspective, windmills, they do have an energy program, that being one. How one may have that business structured would be the key point to applying for any of their business enterprise loan. They have both the loan and the grant program on rural business enterprise grant. Now, I won't get into the dollar figures, maximum amount of dollars, but the dollar figures can be very significant. They also have cooperative loans for lending. The group come together, create a cooperative. It may be an energy cooperative. I know of an individual now not living in this area, but he is looking for individual landowners because he has put together putting together a solar energy business enterprise. And she's had the same idea for years. That's what she wanted.
No, that was my question.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I want you to give Mr. Lofton your name and Michael. Oh, he's on the line now. Oh, he's on the line right now. Well, I didn't call his name, but anyway, he's from Eastern Arkansas. He's from Eastern Arkansas. But he specifically is working toward and want to identify landowners and where he's dealing with the solar energy business enterprise that he's working on for Eastern Arkansas. His family is a landowner as well. In Eastern Arkansas, Monroe County, I know maybe Monroe and Woodruff County. So that's with USDA rural development. There are also other agencies, and I'm not knowledgeable of the ones and how they do their financing for energy program, entities, companies that are getting into the energy business. But from everything that I've been able to read so far and to understand about it, it's a growing business enterprise area. But my understanding, he's online, listened to the presentation. I was right on time, and that was a good question you asked. And it's someone, he doesn't even live in Arkansas, but he has an interest in Arkansas, like other companies do as well, both for the windmill as well as for the solar energy. We're going to be working with him and planning to put together a virtual meeting to talk with both him and any individual that may be interested in becoming a part of what his efforts are in developing the energy, the solar energy initiative, business enterprise that they're working with for Eastern Arkansas here now. So being in Winthrop County, directly adjacent to the Monroe County area, and it sounds like the amount of land that you all are dealing with or may possibly have access to, is something I'm sure he would have an interest in. And I'm glad he's on the line listening. The other is the housing program. USDA Rural Development offer programs for both new construction and renovation of homes. They offer, that's under the 504 program is for renovation. The 504 program is both a grant and a loan program. The loan program is a 1% interest rate, 1% interest rate up to $40,000. Now, 1% interest on $40,000 means you're going to be making minimum payment on that. You probably save more in utilities, getting windows and things of that nature done on the homes. But $40,000, 1% interest rate on the loan side. The grant program is up to, I think it's $10,000 now to $15,000. Ms. Whitney.
I think it's 10.
I
think it's still 10.
Just 10. Okay, still 10,000. So the grant program, the USDA Rural Development Housing, and this is like for safety. Like you may have a situation in a house, and you have a bad wiring that could maybe creating a lot of risk in that particular household, danger of fire or something of that nature. Okay, you have a safety issue. It may be something that relates to water heaters and things of that nature as well. So the grant program, and I'm not going to start naming all the things that qualifies under the grant, but it's basically for health and safety. So if you have a leak or something taking place and creating mold in the house, you got a health issue that's taking place. So 504 program, $10,000 on the grant, $40,000 for the loan program, 1% interest rate. Yes, sir.
Can you have both? Can you do both?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can do a combination of both the $10,000 grant and up to $40,000 on the loan side. But can definitely do both. No, now this young man, he's frantically taking a lot of notes, and I like to see that. The reason I like to see that, he's taking notes, so he wants to know and have information as it relates to the program that he's either going to refer them to us or he's going to refer them to USDA. So now you need to go to the USDA, and I like that. You need those type of folk in your local community, and that's what I call building community capacity. You need those type of individuals. So when we leave today, anything you got a question about, you need to call our office. You can, what's the name? Steve Nelson. I'll call Mr. Nelson. Either one. Call Mr. Henry Nelson. Call him. I believe he's taking about 5 pages of notes already. He started, it's time to be started. He's been taking more notes. He can look like he's going from agency to agency. So this program, okay, I got that. And if he ain't got clarity, he asks the question and he writes the most notes to his notes. But that's very good. I think that's very good. I like to see that when we have our community meetings, when you're doing that. You're empowering community to be within the context of that community from an outreach perspective. So those are the loans. The direct loan itself for new construction is 400 plus thousand, and I say plus thousand. One time it was 460,000, 450,000, but it's over $400,000 if you're going to deal with new construction for a house. Over $400,000. And again, based on the information, and it is based on repayment ability. Now, I was working with the individual client. It's okay, I know you qualify income-wise, and you're trying to build a new house. And the new house is going to cost more on new construction than what you qualify for on a direct loan. I said up to 400,000. So if you only qualified for 200,000 based on showing income ability to pay is only 200,000, then you know you cannot give a contract to build on $300,000 house. Well, based on the amount that she qualified for, she was able to buy an existing home with the amount she qualified for and to have the home work done on that particular house. You know, repainting and flooring and stuff like that, putting in new floor covering and all that. More than enough, as a matter of fact. So you have to look at when you're dealing with getting into a home, if you don't own a home right now, you should look at it from both directions. If there's an availability of housing that exists in the area, possibly for sale, you need to look at that and what the cost is of what's being asked for those particular homes. And then in comparison to construction of a new home against what you may qualify for a housing loan. That's a housing direct loan. Again, over $400,000+ on the housing loan program. And then they have the guarantee program. So many people say, I don't want to deal with all the red tape, the whole process, and taking the time factor in dealing with a direct loan. I think I can get a loan from the bank. Well, they also do the guarantee program. So if you have a relationship with your bank or credit union, either one, then you can go directly to that lender as being the direct lender and see if that lender is what they call a preferred lender with USDA rural development. And you can do the guarantee program, up to 90% guarantee on the housing loan program, sort of like the farm program works. So those are the two different areas of loans they make, both the direct as well as the guarantee loan program with USDA rural development. Now again, the interest rates is going to differ. Your direct lender interest rate is going to be considerably higher, and I did not Google to see what it is now, like I did on the farm with FSA now. But you know, it is normally in some cases it could be half as much as what a direct lender may be. I'm not going to say that's what it is now. It may be 5% or 6%, and maybe 4% now. Like the loan farming, 4.8% on operating loan versus traditional maybe like 7% or 7.5%. Well, that's a big difference when you start to talk about the repayment amount, you know, at the end of the day, as well as what a monthly note might be if you're talking about the regular loan program. Two different loan programs, and they also provide financing for community facilities. USDA Rural Development, they provide both granted loans for community facilities. If it's a nonprofit organization, you have a community facility itself, maybe a civic center, say the city of Cotton Plant, and need assistance with. They also provide financing for that as well for municipalities. Fire equipment, police cars, things of that nature, infrastructure, the water sewer system. They provide financing on that. No, for small towns, rural towns, in that area. And again, they have the Rural Business Enterprise Loan and Grant Program with USDA Rural Development. The Cooperative Loan Program, they have that as well. Again, besides the farm cooperative, I think they still have the grant program as well, the particular loan program. If you've created a cooperative and you're seeking financing for that particular cooperative as a part of the overall operational self-capital investment, whichever, same thing applies. Rural development is the source that you go to get that particular financing. I know I'm missing some because rural development has so much. I spoke about the energy. The energy grant program, I know it applies back to farmers, but it applies also, I think, back with municipalities and things that give them a more energy efficient type of equipment, heating and cooling systems, and doing some modifications from that perspective, then you can talk with rural development. In a lot of cases, they qualify for the energy grant program with USDA rural development as well. That's on that energy program side. Which one on this? Do y'all have a question about one? I might be missing. I think it may be somebody got a question about, say, they gotta have a program on that. But we came up with the windmill with solar, so I figured they got one on the, other notes for business enterprise, energy, but particularly, business enterprise, grant program. And I covered the housing. I think that's about everything. Are there any questions?
I have.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, the 504, again, the loan grant is the 504, the regular housing loan program is the 502. 502 for new construction, that's the 400,000 plus program. So they're having different program areas. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, question, cause I want to go into the single family, program. I want to know, I picked the application up in a different county. Are y'all doing those, processing them here, or will we have to take those back where we got them from?
You picked them up in different counties?
Yeah, I picked it up in Forest City at the USDA.
Yeah, Forest City Services, so no, you don't bring it back to us, you take it back to Forest City. You either take it back or mail it back. And I normally tell individuals, because I know they like to do a lot of stuff online, if you don't mail it back, send it back certified. Send it back certified, when they got it. And you can expect that you would get a response to them within a certain time period, to let you know if there's a need for any additional information as relates to your particular application. Well, one of the things I really tell individuals to do on the front end with the housing is to deal with that pre-qualifying process. Understand, one, you're eligible, you meet the eligibility requirements, and then two, them making a determination and saying, okay, we've done with this process at this point, you pre-qualify for this amount of money. So you've already got that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm just in the process.
Oh, girl, you going
Yeah.
you on your way. You're on your way. That's okay. So you know what you pre-qualified for on the financing side. So you know that. The other things that I discussed prior to, you're asking that question, but definitely take the information back to the Forest City office. That's one. Two, if they're pre-qualified you already and pre-qualified you for the dollar amount, you know how much money you got to work with, and you'll be able to know whether you can build a new house or that an existing house you may want to buy in your local area here. And if you have that, then the one that you have interest in buying, I would recommend you get an option to purchase on that. And when
I already have my.
you got your
Yeah.
The next time in a certain area, I want to use you as a mentor about this and other. So you can say, I know how to do this. I like that. That's good. I know we've been over here before and we talked about the housing program. You've probably been to the office down there and you got the meeting here down there. Yeah. Okay, so
Take that.
great. Okay.
Now I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
A small town such as this one, what about bringing back businesses here, like gas stations, grocery stores?
Let me just say this. That question is asked a lot on the part of small towns itself. And what they call desert areas, the food deserts. It is possible, and I'm going to use another small town as an example. Earl, Arkansas. And, we have property in Earl, Arkansas and all. And the mayor down there, he was able to get they call it a super Dollar General store in the area. And that particular Dollar General store, not only they may sell the various other items as a Dollar General store does, but they also sell food products as well. I mean, not like to a full grocery listed program somewhere. I may have any major chain, so I do not call names in a particular store. I may call a program now. They're gonna say I'm promoting the program. Then. But in a particular area, the one it is possible. That's one. If you know the business, you get grocery store as an example. Another thing that certain things people can do they can do within a local community, particularly on a seasonal basis, on a healthy food supply. If you have enough farm enterprises in the area, micro farm enterprises even, you can have your own farmers market and you have the customer base that you're going to be selling to in your local area, and where you actually selling fresh vegetables to people in the local area and the surrounding area. It's the marketing strategy you need behind that so that your community knows, one, what's being produced in this local area and what's going to be offered in the time period that these crops are going to be made available during these seasonal time periods. During the spring, during the summer months, and even certain things during the winter months. The winter crops, that may be available. Now we're down in Fargo, believe it or not, we used to sell a lot of sweet potatoes down in Fargo to people who lived in cotton plant. I had a pick on process. We would dig them, and then individuals who came in, especially people from cotton plant actually worked. I don't know if y'all know Mr. Jones. Some of y'all call it Waka Pop. Okay, all right, okay, well, Mr. Everybody know him stuff. But anyway, when we did that, we did it with peas also. Either you pick it all, you pay so much per bushel, or you pick them on a halves, we get half and you get half, and then we had customers that we were selling our half to on a direct basis. That was part of our marketing strategy. This was 30 years ago, y'all, so I was, made a big difference in time. But we did that in a different vegetables that we raised down in Fargo, where we located there on the farm, years ago. But those other businesses that you're talking about, I only use that as one example. It may be an individual that may want to try to start a grocery store in this area. If y'all, about 8 miles from Brinkman? Okay, so y'all are close to Brinkman when I am to my closest town. I'm about 15 miles. I still live out on my farm from the little small town. The area is close to me, but we don't have a grocery store. We don't have a gas station either. But population of cotton plant, it's what, 500 and what? 69?
It's 29. That's
29. See, I gave y'all some folks. I said 69. About 500 and 29 in population. I tell people this: whatever you're talking about, any particular type of business itself, as I was gave reference to from the farming perspective, we work with individuals in developing those farm plans. And the basis of the farm plan is the feasibility for it. Is it feasible to do this type of operation? Based on, and is it feasible to put this type of money in based on what the projected returns is going to be, what we call our cash flow part of the position. We make a determination of the equity position of a particular operation, both as startup and analysis at the end of the year, that there's been a decrease or increase in the equity within the context of that particular farming operation. We'll have you, based on what was owed on a particular asset, paid down your equity, maybe more based on your equipment except you have to reduce the debt situation down on that, paid off all of the operating debt. We have a marginal level of equity increase, and that's showing basically point of feasibility and to a certain level determined on the equity build-up as well as the returns against the investment, whether the 10%, 20% marginal level of return over beyond what that investment was in that particular business operation. So, feasibility, whatever it is you're going to do from a business perspective, just as we do with farm operating business enterprises, the same thing with any other type of business, do the same thing. Know your marketing strategy, feasibility of the investment that's going to go into it, project returns from that investment that's going into it. So that's sort of what we do. And that's on the rural development side. And you are absolutely, I'm just so lucky right now because you would probably think I had this plan. Because see, all of these questions y'all have for rural development, they can be answered at the end of this meeting on the ones who have this financing and how to get that financing because he just walked through the door back there. So this is a representative USDA rural development. So anything that you all have as it relates to the business enterprise side of it, or the housing side of it, this young man that just came, Mr. Harrison, he can ask your question or he can take your name. I can guarantee you this. If he doesn't have the answer for you today, right now, at the end of this meeting, which is about to end, Ms. Williams just told me I got 4 minutes. Actually, I don't have 4 minutes. I only have 2 minutes because she's going to close us out. But in fact, any other questions as it relates to anything we discussed here at the meeting from the USDA farm program side, anything on the air property side, then I will entertain those questions now. Otherwise, you're gonna bring it to a close. See, I've been holding this mic for hour plus. Okay, but she's out. But she said, I'll tell you 2 minutes. Yes, sir. What's the question?
So are you familiar with container houses? Like those 18, the containers that they ship in, and are your program aligned with that?
Okay, 2 questions. The one you say, am I familiar with it? That question has been asked to me more than one time, so I've started to sort of familiarize myself with it to the extent of how they're using containers now. I've some more in urban areas. I've seen where they've converted, where they've used containers to convert them to cooling centers, cooling areas in the more urban city areas. People come in and stay during the daytime with extreme heat, hot, I guess, for heat as well. And then, of course, I've seen some where they're using to do housing. I do not know of those being eligible for USDA loan program on housing. So to answer your question, yes, I'm somewhat familiar with them. And then too, I'm trying to do some additional research on that. Once I have the information that I think I need, we're going to publish an article in the Advancer as relates to how these containers are used as a part of a recycling process, both in the housing market. I've seen more information on the conversion of containers for storage units versus the housing side of it. I didn't realize that was a market and where they convert them to storage points and where there's some for storage houses now. That's also one of the areas and how they use. So I am familiar with it to a certain degree. I'm not knowledgeable to the extent that I would like to be on it. When we get there, I'm gonna publish something on it. And regarding the financing for it, I have not seen where USDA has done any financing on that. I'm not saying it's not possible, but speaking of USDA, there's one other area of housing that I didn't give reference to, and that's on their preservation program. There are 2 other programs that they have, but I know you take your notes. And you may write the note that I missed something and then tell everybody he didn't cover everything. The other area that they have the housing preservation program. That's a grant program as well. And the housing preservation program is normally administered by nonprofit organizations. They're doing it in certain parts of the state. I think the timing may have closed. The last RFP that I saw, I think the maximum amount on that grant program was up to $50,000. Okay, for preservation, that's really just doing a certain level of renovation on home. Okay, the other housing program I have is a self-help program. There's a housing self-help program. That's a loan program as well. So RD does have, it's not a grant, it's a loan program, but it's where organizations have implemented those programs and people go through a training process and they work in groups of what they call equity. They put sweat equity into being a process of building the home that's a part of that whole program for individuals. I do know some communities where they've done some and they were very nice and did some in Forest City areas, some in Marion, and a lot of other areas as well. But the self-help housing program. On that preservation program, I know of some community action agencies. I think the one that covers this area now is out of Jonesboro, and where they have the weatherization program. You're familiar with that one, okay? Okay, so they have the weatherization program. In certain cases that I don't know if they are implementing or they have applied and they are doing a preservation program combined with their weatherization program or not. But I do know that there are some agencies that have delivered a lot of program benefits as far as housing is concerned, with using a combination of the housing preservation program along with the preservation program along with the weatherization program. So, but that's something that I don't know if they have a representative locally here in this area, but the main office is out of Jonesboro. I think they're covered with the county too, right? The one that does the weatherization out of Jonesboro. Okay. Did I miss it? I think it's covered.
I just say that the reason I mentioned about the container, because a lot of people, we seeing more people leaning to tiny houses and container houses. And I did a lot of research in it, and I got a lot of different designs. Because if you go to Brinkley, when you go by the right uptown where the light is, you cross the track, but right there you see those containers.
Right, I've seen
that brand new container, 20 by 40, but $4,000, and they're delivered here in town. And so this is things I'm kind of leaning into because they cost effective, they less maintenance, and you can build around them. And so it's so many different avenues in it. But I talk to you, I get with you Monday and talk to you about it.
Right.
Yeah, you're speaking on housing, that man. But what about the marginal homes?
Marginal?
Yes.
No. A little bit further. You said marginal to.
There are houses that they come and they just put them together.
Oh, okay. Prefab housing. Yeah. I'm familiar with that. Prefab housing. I think you can get that financed with USDA rule of law. I'm pretty sure you can, because prefab is sort of like the United Built. Okay, I'm calling the name again. I'm not. I'm saying it's anyway. There are companies that do prefab. Here's what's crucial: if you're dealing with a prefab home, okay. One, the housing plan. You need to make sure that the blueprints for that house is approved by USDA rule of law. So if you're going to look at a prefab home versus a building from ground up, and it's cheaper. It's just more cost effective from the ones that I've seen. Is that I would get the different plan or get a plan that you like from that particular company. I don't know how much it costs now, something I did back some years ago, that got approved. But the first step was to get a copy of the plan, the actual blueprint, and to make sure that the plan and the specs met all the requirements of USDA rural development for the housing loan program. But yeah, those, I have seen those. It's been some years ago, but I've done some, in the past.
Yeah, I had a friend just had one last year in Illinois, as a matter of fact. She said it only cost her $50,000.
I'm not, I said they're more cost effective, versus the other route, from what I've seen. We haven't done any lately, but the only thing I say, get the plan, based on the plan itself, that doesn't cost a lot, because they make that plans on all the different designs that they do. And the first step would be is to see if this is the plan that USDA rural development would finance. In some cases, they have the catalogs that have scales of the plan in it. Then if that's something you're looking at, I would get the catalog itself, and then I would get with USDA rural development to see if they have a record or if they would finance a house like this on the design and this type of blueprint plan, if it qualifies under the housing program. But that would be the first thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've used my 2 minutes plus some. Oh, boy, I've gone over time. Look, I apologize, lady. But I hope that we answered your questions. And it's been beneficial, young lady. Keep up good work. Be a mentor to some of these other folks so we can get some housing done over here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. King. We're going to close. And I certainly hope you all have gained knowledge of why we're here, and what we're here for. And as Dr. King said, knowledge is powerful. And now that you do know, then you could take it to others or let others know about Arkansas land development. And just want you to know that we do have refreshments and snacks back there. And this, yes, sir. And we do have evaluations and client intake forms inside your program. So please complete them and give them to Larry Lofton back there. And also about the our 45th annual conference in Brinkley at the Convention Center. It's on August 24th, August 23rd and 24th, the youth program on the 23rd. I mean, October. Oh, I'm so sorry. October 23rd and 24th. And you do have the flyers inside your program. So please save the date and we're gonna see you there. All right. Thank you for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen,